Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Raging Phoenix, a Thai action movie from 2009 that stars JeeJa Yanin. A violent gang is abducting and killing women around Thailand. Having lost loved ones, Sanim, played by Patrick Tang, and his friends join together to break up the gang of kidnappers. In a botched kidnap attempt, Du, played by JeeJa Yanin, is saved by Sanim's crew. After learning their unique form of martial arts, Du attempts to lure the gang into an epic battle to save the women prisoners. So, I was not expecting much from JeeJa Yanin's debut film, Chocolate, back in the day, but that movie was a huge surprise, and her physical talents were showcased in pretty spectacular fashion. I do have a review of that film on my channel. So enter Raging Phoenix, which is her sophomore effort. It gets mixed reviews online, alright? But I've got to be honest with you, I've always enjoyed this movie, and I rewatched it last week, and I still enjoy this movie. It's not as awesome as Chocolate is, but there is enough here to satisfy me. Now, one thing I liked about Raging Phoenix is that it allows JeeJa to express her charisma and camera presence. This was pretty surprising to me personally because, her previous role in Chocolate was so introverted. She played a very introverted character, and it was essentially impossible to determine whether or not this girl could, steal a scene without beating someone's brains in. But I think that Raging Phoenix allows her to cut loose a bit more in her acting style. And the opening half, she jokes around quite a bit. The opening half has quite a bit of comedy in it. And it has some funny dialogue at times. And she participates in some lighthearted fight scenes, involving drunken styles of martial arts. And I think that allows her to exhibit kind of a natural likability, and it portrays her character in a way that's charming, in my opinion. Now, at the very beginning, she's a part of a band that's actually playing a concert. That's like your opening scene. She's on the drums. She's banging the drums like they owe her money, as they say. And unfortunately, she sees her boyfriend with another girl. And apparently, he didn't know she was playing this gig. So she gets pissed and attacks her boyfriend, and she ruins her band's whole concert. So she gets kicked out of the band, and she gets in trouble with the bad guys when they try to kidnap her. So this is a completely different character from the one that she played in Chocolate, and it was actually kind of nice to see. I do like her in this film. The mood, I would say it starts more lighthearted, and then it gets more serious when the kidnapping plot is fleshed out. And even here, the film kind of adds something different with a really bizarre twist. There's an actual product that the villains produce. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but how they make it is very unique, and I'm not sure I've ever seen it in a film before. Ever. So that's nice. I give the film credit for that. It's a little odd and bizarre, but it's kind of interesting. Gives us something new. Now, I'm not saying that the script writing in this film is great. It's not going to win any awards or anything. But and if you look at other action films, they have a strong dramatic base to it, like something like Killzone with Donnie Yen, which has kind of a stronger dramatic base. It's not as good as that at all. All right, but Raging Phoenix does add enough in between the action that keeps me in it, and it builds some anticipation for the finale. Now, I think Raging Phoenix actually does a few things better than Chocolate. Yes, I think it does. One of these things is that it actually introduces an intimidating lead antagonist during the later half, played by Rungtawan Jindasing, an Asian Pacific women's bodybuilding champion. And this lady is one tough son of a gun who proves incredibly difficult to take down, which automatically makes things a bit more exciting than having just JeeJa beat up a bunch of random stuntmen the entire time. Also, there's a bodyguard played by Mark Huang, And he has some like different styles. He does some drunken stuff, some other like Chinese-based stuff, and that he's a good like bodyguard that she has to fight during the finale as well. So that brings us to the action scenes, okay? There are some one versus many scenarios early on, but that shifts decisively towards more like one-on-one and two-on-one battles afterward. And that results in some pretty entertaining fisticuffs. Like if you remember, again, in Chocolate, almost every freaking action scene is a one versus many fight. And there might be like one-on-one fight in that movie. So this one's a little bit different. I'm glad they did that. Now the martial arts styles are a mix of capoeira, Muay Thai, drunken boxing, and breakdancing. I think I read an interview or like some type of article where the filmmakers wanted to create a dancing style that could be adapted to a fighting style. So it's kind of an interesting combination here. Now the problem with that, all right, is that some of the strikes in this movie feel soft. Like when you're watching a fight scene, you typically like to feel the impact of the strikes, right? The punches and the kicks, like Ong Bak with Tony Jaa. Like, when you watch the dudes get hit in that movie, you're like, oh my gosh, they look like it hurt. Or like The Raid, right? In Raging Phoenix, you get a little bit of that, but you also get some light taps, all right, that somehow knock people out. Like, someone will do like a twirl on the ground and then like punch or kick somebody in the head, but it doesn't feel like the impact is like visceral. You know what I mean? You're lacking some of that here. So there's an element of softness to some of the fights that rubs some viewers the wrong way, and I could kind of understand that. It did bother me a little bit, but again, like especially early on, some of the fights are played for comedy early on. So I kind of give it a pass for that. And then near the end, the fights are like more seriously toned, and you get more of a harder impact during the later fights in the film. So I feel like the film actually kind of balances that pretty well, but I can understand why some people have a problem with it. Now, the opening fight scene is kind of a very unique one versus many fight that takes place in like an open arena, and it involves a bunch of dudes who have like spring boots. They can spring on their feet, and their boots like make them jump high, and they have like blades on the side of the boots where they can jump up high and then like attack you and cut you. Some pretty nice acrobatics in that opening scene. The supporting actor that I mentioned, Patrick Tang, has some serious jumping ability. I wish this guy would have done more movies. Like, because when he shows up in this, I'm like, damn, this dude's got some serious like ups. You know, he's got good athleticism. So I liked him as a supporting character. And it's nice to see like supporting actors in this movie get some I guess, memorable moments, and they could show off some of their moves. Now, there's a scrapyard warehouse brawl that kind of establishes the drunken style of martial arts that I mentioned earlier. Pretty good scene. We get some training scenes. JeeJa gets some active fights, and her first active fight is against a den of bad guys. Played for laughs, for the most part. But it's good. I liked it. It's pretty interesting. Choreography is creative, pretty enjoyable. And then we get a few one-on-one fights that are pretty good. Middle section is a little soft in terms of the action. But then we go to the finale, which is pretty long. It's multi-staged. All right, you get like a scene where there's two roped bridges, and there's people fighting on the roped bridges. And I like that scene. That's pretty cool. And the main villain, the bodybuilding champion, she is tough. She's tough. They fight her multiple times during the finale. It's almost like a video game where you fight the boss multiple times. And it escalates to the point where JeeJa needs like a second win to take her down. I think it's a pretty satisfying conclusion. So I do think the action in this movie satisfies, but again, you have to be a little bit, I guess, forgiving regarding some soft strikes, bizarre like choreography, and some wire work. There is some nice use of color at times in terms of how the film is shot. There's like one particular scene with atrocious CGI where the characters are like sliding through a tunnel. Like, if I were the editor, I would have cut that scene out entirely. It's only like a few seconds long, but it looks so bad. Like, just cut to a shot of them falling out of a hole, on a set. That would have been better. And I think that rickety bridge scene that I mentioned before might have some CGI backgrounds, but it's slightly distracting, but not a big deal. So, again, Raging Phoenix, I think, is kind of a flawed but entertaining movie. It's not as consistently awesome as Chocolate is, but I think it's worth watching if you're a fan of this actress. Now, I would be interested in knowing, because I know a lot of people out there have been disappointed in this one, but if you've seen this actress's, other films like Chocolate and this, what do you think about this? Because I'd be interested to know what you think. Because I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it, and I still do now. So that's my opinion. It's currently available on streaming and physical media, and as always, we will see you next time.